This conversation begins with a statement: don't disturb my rest. Please, don't disturb my rest. I pray that after you finish listening to this message, I pray that you learn how to tell your family, to tell your friends, to tell your job. To tell your close circle, if you will, to back up off of you. I pray that you tell them to get behind you, because this world is moving at a very quick pace. We're talking about this world is similar to traffic. You've got the fast lane, you've got that middle lane, and you've got that slow lane. But that fast lane is going 100 miles per hour. And that's your life. That's our lives. And that middle lane is going 95 miles per hour. That's still fast. And that slow lane that slow lane is going 90 miles per hour. That's all fast. There's no balance there. It's all moving at light speed. And then when you're trying to exit, that's 90 miles per hour. And when you're trying to enter the freeway, that's 90 miles per hour. So you see, life is just moving at a very quick pace. And if you get caught up into this world system, you'll move at a very, very quick pace as well. I pray that you learn we don't have to live by that pace. We're not governed by that pace. Now, don't get me wrong. If you get out there, you're out there. And you bring that back home, so your children are living that fast-paced life as well. Your family will live that same type of fast-paced environment. So be careful what you're bringing home from out there. Be careful what you're bringing over here. Be very careful. But most of us are living in this worldly system. Let's just be honest. And we're trying to provide for our family. So we're in this rat race, if you will. And we're all moving on this freeway of life at a very rapid pace. Go with me. King Solomon wrote the majority of the book of Proverbs. And King Solomon was famous for being wise. As a matter of fact, we consider him one of the wisest men to ever live. So if King Solomon gives you advice, you think you listen to him. You think you would obey it because you know it's sound. You know it's well thought out. You know that you can take his words and you can take it to the bank because that check will cash. For this message, King Solomon is teaching us how to have this balance in life. He's dipping into his personal toolbox, if you will. He's pulling out all the stops, trying to advise us of what we should and shouldn't be doing, and how we should guard our rest with everything we have. We should protect our rest. So go with me to the book of Psalms, chapter 127, verses 1 and 2. That's Psalms 127, verse 1 and 2. And it reads like this: except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman waketh, but in vain. Verse 2, it is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he giveth his beloved sleep. For so he giveth his beloved sleep. Let me read that again. Except the Lord build the house, except Donnie build the house. No, it didn't say that. It didn't say that. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain. Vain simply means useless, unproductive, that build it. Except the Lord keep the city. He didn't say if Gracie keeps the city. No, he didn't say Gracie. He said, except the Lord keep the city. Keep this in mind. The watchman waketh, but in vain. It's unproductive. It's useless. Verse 2, it is vain. It is useless and unproductive for you to rise up early. He says, there's no gain there. There's no gain there. And to sit up late. He says, there's nothing productive about that at all. To eat the bread of sorrows. To eat the bread of sorrows. Complaining, bitterness, worry, anxiety. For so he giveth his beloved sleep. When you're not sleeping, you have to recognize that's not God. Did you hear what I said? When you're not sleeping, you have to recognize that's not God. That's you. Yes, when you're wide awake, worrying about whatever, that's all you. Who are you allowing to disturb your rest? Is it your son? Is it your daughter? Is it your husband? Is it your wife? Is it your job? Is it someone else outside of your family? Is it a family member? I mean, who is it that's disturbing your rest? 9 times out of 10, it's you. Yeah, you're doing it to yourself. It's you. It's all about you have control. This is your life. And so if anything's disturbing you, you have to look inward first before you go outward. Now, some of you are saying, well, Donnie, hold up, Donnie. I mean, come on. I mean, I stay up late at night sometimes because me and the Lord, we be tabernacling. I be praising God, and I be in my devotion. I be reading the word. I mean, the Spirit just be moving up on me. Okay. Slow down. I get that. That happens every now and then. I do mean every now and then, okay? Most of that's you. And most of that's the enemy trying to burn you out, trying to wear you down. Got you burning the candle on both ends. That's mostly the enemy intriguing you to do little bitty things. I call it the handyman. You're just running around your house just finding everything to do before you can go to bed. And by the time you know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, most of you are not going to listen to what King Solomon is saying. Most of you just won't do it. You've checked out. It's like, well, that was back then. You know, that's old. Well, okay, hold on. Since you won't listen to what God is saying through King Solomon, let me see if you listen to what man is saying, okay? The National Sleep Foundation makes this statement, that their guidelines advises that healthy adults need at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Now, I didn't need the National Sleep Foundation to tell me that. My wife tells me that every single night. She looks at her watch, and whatever time we go into bed, she starts counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. She said, we can't get up until 8 o'clock in the morning. We can't get up until 10 o'clock. We can't get up until 11 o'clock, depends on what time we went to bed. My wife is advising me. I pray you got one of them. Yeah, I got a wife. She advising me what time we're going to get up the next morning because she's counting those 8 to 9 hours because she knows that makes you healthy. And she wants us both to be healthy. Babies, young children and teenagers, they need even more sleep. Do you realize that? Your teenagers need more sleep than you because they're growing. Yeah, they're developing. And here we are trying to be what I call model parents. We're trying to be good parents. And so we're letting our children stay up all night on social media, playing these games, watching TV, talking on the phone with friends. I mean, whatever they're doing, we are condoning it because we're trying to win Parent of the Year, I guess. I'm assuming that's what you're trying to do. But you're not going to win no Parent of the Year. Now, your child go to school the next day, and they just there. And they're not doing any work. They're not getting anything done. As a matter of fact, they're sleeping most of the day. They're yawning most of the day. Because as a parent, you're not being responsible. That child needs about 10 hours of sleep every single day. Every day. No, not just on the week. Every single day. They are growing. And you're stunning their growth. You're doing it to your own family. Wise up. Listen to that point. Your children need 10 hours of sleep almost every single day. That's Parent of the Year, following that standard. And you retired people, you guys think that you can stay up all night long, burn the candle on both ends because I'm retired, I can party, I can watch movies and TV. No, well, you can watch it, but you still need your 7 to 8 hours of sleep. You still have to comply. If you want a healthy body, if you want a healthy life, you still have to follow the rule of sleeping. People are most likely to be at their sleepiest. That's what the study is saying from the National Sleep Foundation. At 2 points. One point is between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. We know that's after lunch, after you eat that heavy meal, and you're trying to go back to work. You're trying to work in the office and get some things done. That's almost impossible because you're yawning, you're tired, you've eaten way too much. I ate the whole thing is what you're saying. And then between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., during those hours is when you're at the sleepiest. And the better the quality of sleep you get, the less likely you are to experience significant daytime sleepiness, is what the study is saying. There's a word I want you to focus on. It's called circadian. It's called the circadian rhythm. It dictates your natural bedtime, if you will, and morning wake-up schedules. You see, God's got a built-in clock for you. Do you hear me? The circadian rhythm, they call it the circadian cycle. It's a natural internal process that regulates sleep, wake cycle, and repeats it roughly every 24 hours. So every 24 hours, God's got you on a cycle. And your body is telling you when it's time to go to bed. And your body's telling you when it's time to wake up. And I don't care if it's dark, if it's night for 24 hours, for 48 hours, if it's night for a whole week, your body knows when it's day because God built it inside of you. You've got this internal clock of knowing when to lay down and when to get up. God is so awesome that he gave us a clock inside of us to tell us to punch in and to punch out. And most of you are ignoring that clock. Yes. Tracy R. Naska, the executive director of the American Sleep Apnea Association, she advises us that up to a quarter, listen to me, parents, up to a quarter of your children are labeled of having ADHD, when actually they suffer from sleep apnea instead. Did you hear me? Up to a quarter of your children are labeled with ADHD, when actually they suffer from sleep apnea. That's something worth noting. They're not getting enough sleep. None of us are getting enough sleep. We're all busybodies. We're all running this rat race trying to be a part of everything. Tracy Naska and medical doctor Rochelle Goldberg makes it very clear that sleep is something that most of us take for granted. Yet, it is as important to life and health as the air we breathe. When we don't get enough sleep, we suffer a multitude of ways. Sleep deprivation causes cognitive loss, such as memory, such as concentration, such as moodiness, as well as hyperactivity in our children. Listen to this. It also can result in health problems, including obesity, heart disease, hypertension, and diabetes. How many of you have ever fallen asleep while you were driving your car because you were sleep deprived? I can raise my hand. Yeah, I was one of those. How many of you have ever fallen asleep while watching a movie? I can raise my hand on that one too. How many of you have fallen asleep or dozed off at a meeting, standing up? I can raise my hand on that one too. You see, that's sleep deprivation. That's your body shutting down. Your body has this clock, I told you, the circadian clock. It knows when to shut itself down. And when you burn it out, it said, okay, we're going to have to take some time off because you burn us out. Your body is trying to take PTO. It's trying to clock out. I told you that 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. are some of the sleepiest times that your body has. And at 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., I told you, we know that's all after lunch, and we need to negotiate a nap, if you will, with our companies, because we all know we could use a quick break, if you will. But we won't get it. As a matter of fact, our companies are so legacy mindset, they will never try to give you more to benefit you than it will to benefit them. Even though if they gave you a nap break, it would benefit them more than anything. You remember the pandemic we're in right now? Most companies sent their employees home to work using Zoom and using Microsoft Teams technology, and things were working great. I mean, the employees were productive, the company was productive and financially stable, and the employees was efficient and effective. And the employees benefited because they didn't have to drive in through all that stress and come in being all upset and moody. They stayed home, got in their pajamas and got up and got on keyboard or whatever and took care of business. They didn't have to drive back home through all that pressure, through all that stress, through all that traffic. So you had an employee being very productive. But guess what? Because we've always done what we've always done, we brought them back in the office because we're bosses, because we have this legacy mindset that we got to bring them back in because we need to know what they're doing. Well, you know what they're doing. They're being productive. You're meeting the bottom line. You're making the bottom line probably for the first time. But you got to bring them back in because you got this boss mentality. You got this mentality, I got to put my eyes onto them. You know, you're just a micromanager. Most of these buildings should be sold. Employees should be working from home. But because we have this boss mentality, we brought them back into the office. We aborted productivity over ego and pride and politics. That's what we've done. You know how we politicize the vaccine? Guess what we've done? We've also glamorized, or we've hyped up the need for less sleep. Yes, you heard me. We are teaching that less rest equals more success. That's man. That's what man is doing. We're bragging about how, man, I only got 4 hours of sleep, man, but I got that project finished, man. And so we're bragging about that. Yeah, you might have got the promotion, but guess what? You lost your family. You might have got the increase, but you lost your wife. See, we're bragging about staying up late at night. You got preachers, you got pastors up in the pulpit talking about bragging about, man, I only got 2 hours of sleep, doc. I had to get this message out, and I only get about 2 hours every night. And it's like, what are you saying? That's going completely against what King Solomon is telling us. Yes, staying up late and rising up early. You see, we bought into this worldly system, though. We're not even paying attention. We think it's bragging rights to talk about not getting rest. And the whole world is running around sleep deprived. And we're bumping into each other physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. That's what we're doing. Wow. Who wants bragging rights on staying up all night? You tell me. That's why God says in the book of Isaiah 55, 8 and 9, he makes it very clear, for my thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. God says, you got it twisted. And so he says, I'm so far removed from you and my thoughts and my ways and what you guys are, because you guys really, you're not listening. You're not listening. And hold up. You're reading, but you're not using what you're reading. King Solomon tells us, he makes it crystal clear what we should be doing. I can guarantee you right now, if you check your time, if you look at how much you're sleeping, you're not following King Solomon's advice. Apostle Paul shares with us that he wished that all men were like him. Now, Paul is single and Paul is abstaining from sex. But Paul is not really diving into that as much as you think he is. Paul is really speaking to you about how he wished that you had control over your body and over your mind. You see, if you had control over your body, guess what? You tell it to go to sleep. Yeah, you command it to go to sleep. That's what Paul is teaching us. Paul is saying, I don't give myself to drinking. Not that Paul didn't drink something, but Paul said, I don't give myself to drinking. Therefore, drinking has no power over me. Stop giving yourself to stuff that you allow to control you. Paul abstained from abusing himself. Paul abstained from bringing unnecessary sorrow upon himself. I pray that you do the same. I pray that when you lay in your bed at night, and you're tossing and turning, and you got all this stuff on your head, all these problems. Tell your bed, command your bed to hold you. Why are you holding it? You purchased it, after all, to hold you. Command your bed to hold you. I told you it's about control of your mind. Become like Apostle Paul and get control of your body and of your mind. It belongs to you. It obeys you. What commands are you giving it? Let me tell you something. You need to be delivered from all that witchcraft. Yeah, I said it. What your mama and them brought from wherever they came from, or whatever place they grew up in. I'm telling you, they brought stuff with them. Your daddy, they brought stuff with them. Get rid of all that witchcraft, all that stubbornness, all that rebellion. Free yourself. Free your mind. And your feet will follow. Be honest with yourself and free yourself from yourself. That's the biggest problem. That's why you can't rest. Let me tell you what we've done. Some of you bragging about you haven't taken a vacation in over 20 years. What? What you say? You got to be kidding me. Some people really haven't taken a vacation in over 20 years. They haven't taken any days off of work. It's like, well, no, I got to be here. We have given into this world grind hard. That's what we've done. Instead of grace over grind. Grind hard. No, not grace over grind. Grind hard. That's what we've done. And it should be grace over grind. You see, that's what society has us buying into, and we bought into it lock, stock, and barrel. This society has become addicted to sleep deprivation. It's like a bragging right high. Who can work the longest with less sleep? That's some foolishness. That comes nothing but from the pits of hell. When you go against the Word of God, you're using your own advice versus the advice of King Solomon, one of the wisest men that ever lived. The last time we listened to a man sin into the earthly realm, just think about that. In Genesis 3:17, and unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened, listen, unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. And sorrow, that word, and sorrow shall thou eat of it all the days of thy life. And sorrow shall thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Where did we see that before? Go back up to verse 2, Psalms 127, verse 2. It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows. That's where we got that from. Let me share with you what Brother Adam did. Adam went from being the gardener of Eden, the greatest garden ever known to mankind, to becoming the tiller of a cursed ground full of thistle and thorns, since he listened to the voice of woman, therefore disobeying the voice of God. So now the ground would disobey him. Where he had easy picking, oh, it's going to be the sweat of his brow now to get this ground to produce. The word sorrow. Sorrow is a feeling of deep distress caused by loss, disappointment, or other misfortunes suffered by oneself or others. Do you realize that sorrow is only sorrow because you have things that are not sorrowful to compare it to? You didn't get that, did you? Okay, let me do it this way. The only reason we know pain is because we know this body without pain. The only reason we know what rest feels like because we know how this body feels when it's tired. You see, you have something to compare it against. Now, this is a mic check. How's your sleep? Do you sleep well? Do you know how to rest? Think just for a moment. Of all the people that you haven't forgiven, think for a moment. Now think about all the things you haven't forgiven yourself for. I want to flip this. Now look at the self-inflicted unrest that you placed upon yourself, placed upon your life. Your rest is because you won't forgive. That's a bad position to be in. You see, that's a recipe that gives permission to witchcraft, rebellion, and stubbornness to enter into your life. That's what you've allowed to come in. Unforgiveness is you not resting. It's you laying there in the midst of your bed, having what I call those woe moments. Woe is me. Those moments of pitying you and blaming someone else. Those moments full of sorrow over something that you can't change. Now, for those of you who desire to rest, it's very simple. Start forgiving. Start forgiving. When you forgive a person or a thing, that's weight that's being transferred off of your chest. That's weight that's being transferred off of your spirit, which allows you, guess what? To take your forgiving self to sleep. That's the best kind of rest. That's that good stuff, I call it. That's that good rest, as we call it, that we all need, that we all deserve. Yeah, good rest is rest that's full of no regrets. That's good rest. Yeah, rest that you have control over. Cancel out that old sorrow and worrying spirit. Adam and Eve disturbed God's rest. Please, not you two. The disciples kept disturbing Jesus' rest. Pharaoh disturbed God's rest. I pray that you're not in the same boat. King David disturbs God's rest. We all know. We all do it. Your sons and daughters are disturbing your rest. So when you look at not resting completely, look at spousal abuse, look at child abuse, look at drug abuse, look at alcohol abuse, look at financial abuse, look at family neglect. There's a question that's always asked when someone retires, especially men. When we're retired, there's a question that always comes up. If you could go back and change one thing, what would you change? What would you do if you had a do-over? And the number one answer is I would spend more time with my children. I would spend more time with my family. And you weren't resting in that as a father. You weren't resting in that as a mother. No, you were working in that as a father. You were working in that as a mother. And so therefore, you missed that season of resting with your children. It's important to rest with them. It's important to get out of this rat race. Get off that cycle of running with this world. We go out into this world and we befriend everyone in this world. Everyone's our friend. And we're strangers at home. Because see, we're trying to rest out there when we should be resting at home. There's no rest out there. We become family deprived. And they become father and husband deprived. Who in your circle is trying to disturb your rest? I keep telling you, the number one person to look at first is you. Matthew 6:34 reads like this. Jesus says, take therefore no thought for the morrow. For the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. We keep forgetting that we live in a world full of sin. And tomorrow will be full of sin as well. You planning on tomorrow? Well, tomorrow will take care of itself, the Lord is saying. And evil's over there waiting for you. So quit trying to plan for that. What God is telling us is stop putting on your schedule those things for tomorrow and take care of those things you can take care of today. We're being told to enjoy our today. Rest in our today. Yes. Enjoy your marriage today. Rest in your marriage right now. Enjoy your life today. Rest in your life right now. Enjoy your children. Yes. Rest in your children right now. Not tomorrow, but right now. Enjoy your relationship with your friends. Rest in your relationship with your friends right now. And more importantly, enjoy your relationship with Jesus. Yes. Rest in Jesus today, right now. Rest in Him. Can you rest in your right now moments? That's the question. Can you take advantage of it? Evil's not going anywhere. No, not evil. Evil is waiting on you. Yes, it is. It's in the midst of your sorrows, waiting for you. They're hoping that you're banking on tomorrow. That's what evil's waiting for. It's hoping you're putting off today what you could be doing right now. There are going to be so many people finding themselves waking up in hell because they were waiting for tomorrow to change their lives, but tomorrow never came for them. I pray that you rest in your moments that you have right now. Stop waiting for tomorrow. Rest in your moments. Rest in the truth of God, not in the lies of tomorrow. No. Stop allowing Satan to disturb your rest. God is in control. And as long as you know that, you can rest in Him. Now, tonight, learn how to sleep. Learn how to rest in God. Tell Jesus to hold you. Tell the Holy Spirit to hold you as you lay there in that bed. Let that bed hold you because you paid for it. But then let the Holy Spirit wrap itself up in you. And you go to sleep. And you enjoy your rest. Don't forget Romans 10:9. Confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord. And believe in your heart that God has raised Him from the dead. And guess what? You too shall be saved. You be blessed. And get your rest.